I want to get now to our guest, Anton Schutz. He's with Mendon Capital Advisors. He owns shares, or their group owns shares in Citigroup. And Anton, I want to get your take on this because it is key for him to, in this release, say that Citigroup has risen above $5 per share, because a lot of people said, does that then show that Citigroup has in fact recovered?
Well, I think that's an important sort of statement, and there's also some information out there I think is erroneous. When you talk to Citi's head of investor relations, John Andrews.
Wait, hang on. What's erroneous?
Well, this $5 number in institutions investing in
Why is that erroneous?
Well, like I said, we're quoting John Andrews, who's Citi's head of investor relations. He's talked about when they go on the road to go visit large institutions in places like Boston, places like Fidelity, the $5 issue has never been an issue. It's really whether people are confident in the stock or not. It's not the $5 number anymore. So, believe it or not, it's somewhat of a myth when it comes to some of these stocks.
But it's been swirling out there, though, Anton, particularly ahead of this report. Why do you think that is?
Well, it has been swirling. You're absolutely right, and there's nobody knows better than someone who's with Citi, that goes out and travels and meets with institutions. Okay. And I've pushed him on that a number of times. I mean, and it's pretty clear that institutions are a lot more comfortable with Citi, because when the government sold its entire stake at the end, it was wildly oversubscribed. Everybody wanted it.
So there's no question that they feel confident, or that you're confident that institutional investors are buying into Citi again, then? Oh,
there's no doubt about it. I mean, that the government offering was multiple times oversubscribed.
Right, and in fact, the Prince, I think, had participated in that offering. Okay, let's get to the results then, Anton. They were, as our prior guest had said earlier, just basically weak overall.
Yes, well, I think one of the great comments is a note out of somebody this morning that said, weather's slushy in New York and results are slushy at Citi. Now, I had to laugh a little bit, and I think that the slushy part comes from reading through all of it.
Right.
Mark-to-market has something to do with actually hurting their results. The value of their debt actually improved for their investors, and believe it or not, from a mark-to-market perspective, you have to take a hit. That caused $1 billion mess. So that obviously, is really isn't real.
But it's not all mark-to-market issues, though, Anton, because you've got the investment banking side, which you're still seeing Citi slip, or at least not be able to gain much traction on M&A advisory, on underwriting fees. How does Vikram turn that around? Yeah,
absolutely. The capital markets were something that was disappointing, and that's really where the miss was. Turning it around is certainly maybe a little more work there. The big story, though, is the credit turnaround at Citi. I mean, credit was wildly better all across the board, and they still have $40 billion of loan loss reserves they're sitting on. The international story from a revenue perspective in investment banking was actually quite strong. There was a lot of IPO activity in places like Asia and Latin America. So the U.S. is still bigger. It's a bigger revenue piece, but it's going to certainly take some work.
But does that mean does that mean the stock price slows down in terms of its momentum?
Well, certainly technically, $5 was a magnet. The tangible book value only rose a penny this quarter to a little bit over that 4.5 level. I think the stock's going to sort of digest. I think the bank stocks are going to digest. We've had a huge run in Citi and all the rest of the banks. Right. And it's very typical that after you get reports out of J.P. Morgan from a trading pattern perspective, that financials slow down and digest for a little bit and have a little healthy pullback. So, well,
then maybe that next catalyst, Anton, is in a reinstatement of the dividend?
Yeah, and I think, if you look at Citi's dividend, it's going to be a little while before they come. They'll be one of the later guys. Unless they can significantly shrink Citi Holdings and spin off some of its businesses, it's still got some work to do to get to the Basel numbers.
So that'll mean 2012. We'll see.
I think 2012 is what the company's publicly stated. I still think they're on that path. The only thing that changes is if Citi Holdings shrinks a lot faster.
Okay. All right. Well, and we still have yet to hear more about Citi Holdings. Anton, thank you so much. Anton Schutz of Mendon Capital, Citi shareholder, talking about those results.